President.Mahama as I received another petition seeking the removal of another Supreme Court judge. Now this time around, the judge assassin we found a justice poor man. Na ya owura bia ofra ga akra, ofra busunya ofri mu ye TV family I will omo teshi, and I did this petition akoma President.Mahama. Na papa allege a lot of allegations at the justice poor man said justice poor man by a Supreme Court judge. No, otina kunyama just say judgment or depend a bias. Na eno and a lawyer your friend Martin Pebu. I reacted to this petition a year a plantain free TV family at the court President.Mahama and him say a justice poor man our Supreme Court judge President.Mahama enyinati munyangoti ensema a year lawyer Martin Pebu at the two this petition President.Mahama as I receive the Supreme Court judge name him say a chief justice Tokonu on also the other seeking the removal. I nipa miensa na de koma President.Mahama and a justice for a man so dear Abetoso. It means you'll be a lawyer Martin Pebu edituja efa home.
Absolutely, and a former court clerk, Samoni Ejia, has filed a petition against a Supreme Court judge, Justice Gabriel Pwamang. Now, this petition, among others, asks the Chief Justice to remove the judge, citing lack of competence, poor performance, and questionable character in contravention of the standards required of a Supreme Court judge. Well, we cannot reveal the full content of the petition due to the Supreme Court ruling on the Justice Derry versus Anas case that the publication of petition details was in breach of Article 146(8), which mandates confidentiality in impeachment processes. But let me run you through briefly some of the claims of the petitioner in this particular case, and that you can see from the screens the reasons cited for the removal of Justice Pwamang JSC. And first is that his behavior and competence and performance of his duty as a Supreme Court judge are questionable, and that's according to the petitioner. He is also citing the reason that his actions contravene the standards required of a justice of the Supreme Court as required by Articles 1284 and 151 Clause 1 of the Constitution. He also cites the reason that Justice Pwamang rules cases in favor of Nungwastu against Teshi in some cases because of his previous dealings with the Nungwastu as a lawyer. Now, he has some more reasons, and that has been cited in that petition. It includes that there were serious issues between him and lawyer Fosu Jiabuo over the ownership of Koilabi Chambers, and those issues still persist. They also have some more reasons that because of his previous engagement with the Nungwastu as a lawyer, it is unfair for Justice Pwamang to adjudicate on disputes bordering on the Chewe family and Clay Musum quarter lands, the Che Nungwa lands as well, and they also talk about the Osustu lands and chieftaincy matters, as well as any matter in which lawyer Kwame Fosu Jiabuo is involved as a lawyer or represents as a client. So, as you can see, these are some of the reasons as cited for the removal of Justice Pwamang JSC. And of course, Martin Pebu is a private legal practitioner. He's joining us with more details on this particular subject. Good evening, sir. Now, first, what are your initial thoughts on this said petition?
Okay, so the first thing is that, as you rightly stated, it's illegal for the contents to be published. So publishing the whole content is illegal, and you rightly mentioned the Justice Utaderi case. So the person who did the publication should be warned, because you see, these things, because this matter is yet to be gone into, it doesn't help, because once allegations are thrown out, sometimes when the person is even acquitted, a lot of people would not take time to follow the acquitter.
Right.
See? And also it damages the justice system. So we have to condemn this publication with all the energy and all the gas that we can gather, that this is totally unwarranted. It's illegal. It's against the Constitution. Constitution envisages that it should be done secretly. All these things should be done privately. I mean, like in camera. You see that even the proceedings will be done in camera,
right,
if the stages are. If we get there. But you see, the preliminary thing we have to look at is that, please look at the what do you call it? The letter again. You see, it's addressed to the Chief Justice.
right.
Yeah, I thought usually you would address that to the president. Yes, so I'm wondering why that has been done. And yet, also, if you look, there is received evidence that has been received at the Jubilee House. So we have a conundrum, because under the Constitution, you would have to address it to the president, then it goes through to the Chief Justice.
But
right?
the president was copied in that letter, if you saw that.
So now what we will have to answer, or maybe not us, what the system has to answer is that, since the letter was not written to the president, but directly to the Chief Justice, we are still developing the jurisprudence. Some people would say that it should be thrown out for procedural irregularity. Others who would say, oh, once the presidency has received it, the president can still, forward it to the Chief Justice like it should be done, and so on and so forth. So let's see how this huge technical blunder will be dealt with. It's extremely serious. And also, because we are not allowed to discuss the content, it means that we'll have to leave it here. Because if I went into it, then they'll be like, okay, if the publication is wrong, why are you also discussing the content? So it appears this is where we have to leave it.
Well, I understand that as well. But if you could just take us through really what the process is for the removal of a justice of a Supreme Court, as the petitioner is asking for. We've seen really what the process is for the removal of the CJ herself. But if you could take us through for justices of the Supreme Court as pertaining for this particular case.
Good. So the processes are very similar. Very similar. When I say similar, meaning that there are two stages of the investigations. The stage one is the matter of the prima facie determination. So assuming this one is cleared to go through the process, then it means that the Chief Justice would then have to look at it and do a prima facie determination. Now, assuming there is everything okay with it, that we have to assume, then the Chief Justice will invite comments from Justice Mahama, okay? And then based on the comments, then the Chief Justice will do the prima facie determination and come out with a ruling. So the ruling of the Chief Justice will show whether the case should move to the stage 2, where you will have a proper trial like in a court of law. But this time the judges will be 5. So that's what they call the committee, made up of 3 justices of the Supreme Court and then 2 lay persons, okay, who are not judges, lawyers, nor ministers, okay? So that is it. So 2 stages of the trial. Stage 1, and it's only if the accuser passes stage 1 that it can go to stage 2. So if it doesn't pass the stage 1, that is the stage 1, the Chief Justice alone will be the judge. That's the investigator. That's who will look at the petition. And as I said, the thing we shouldn't run away from, or we should be watching keenly, is that, is this one of those ones that the Chief Justice can look at it and throw it out, without inviting comments from Justice Mahama? Yes, because you see that, as I said, because we can't, so let's put it simply this way. If you look at the content, I don't have to mention what exactly is there.
Exactly.
But if you look at the content, you can see that the person is unsure of what he wants. Yes. In one breath, the person wants A. Then in another breath, the person wants something else, B. So this one, let's see how the practice will evolve. Because if you say A or B, and the 2 of them are not done in the same place, so we'll see whether they will be using principles of substantive justice to say, in that case, the other thing that doesn't belong to the Chief Justice to do in this forum, that one should be cancelled out. Or there will be the technical people who will say that no, once the petition is an important poto, you know, the local dish, important poto approved, it should be thrown out. So we'll see which one will prevail, whether substantive justice, so let's overlook these technical things, or strict technical rules will apply. Let's watch the space.
Well, Lawyer Pebu, just before you go, let's go a little deeper into this matter, because if you'd realize, the petition he made was questioning the integrity of Justice Mahama, and this was based on Articles 151, which talks about the issue of integrity as well, and it says that that must be subject to investigation by the Judicial Council. Now, based on that claims, I'm sure you've gone through this petition. Based on those claims that the petitioner has made, would this be investigated by the Judicial Council before other steps are taken in regards to the case?
No, so this won't go to the Judicial Council.
Right.
It's going to, right now, as I say, it's been submitted to the Chief Justice. Under the law, it's the Chief Justice who would look at it, right, and do the prima facie, assuming it is accepted. As I'm saying, we've already talked about the problems that it faces. Okay? So it's for the Chief Justice to determine whether it will be properly accepted or it will be thrown out at the beginning because of the technical issues I've earlier on raised, because it didn't go through the president. All right? And then number two, because it is asking for two different things. I want removal or I want another thing, which we don't want to discuss. So because of these two main challenges it faces, we'll have to wait and see how it will be dealt with. Those are, I'm thinking, preliminary matters that will have to be dealt with.
Right.
And then we'll see how it goes.
Many thanks for your time. Martin Pebu is a private legal practitioner. We have been discussing the latest petition to remove Justice Mahama from